Hey, how you doing today, Dr. Prodigal? Just giving some thought on a lot of things. I can't show it today. I have one a T-shirt that I have. I'll stand up a little bit. It says Shaq. Now, when's the last time that you known that Shaq had a fashion line? That was a long time ago. But I dug into some of my closets and I saw this. I tried it on and it fit. So this is where I'm looking at today. Just like I dug into this to pull out this, I began to go back on some things, on something that's really been disturbing, not really disturbing, but troubling me to really study for a while. And the last 3 months, off and on, I've been really hitting it. And it's music. Yeah, just music. To see how that affects things in life, because see, music is something that's both natural and spiritual. Why do I say that? Well, the first instance that we know in the history of music as Christians, I'm not going to say anyone in any sociologists anything else, but as Christians, where we first understand music is in the mountain of heaven, and it was Lucifer. Lucifer was worshiping God with music. So you think wherever there's God and wherever, he's at, there is worship. And if there's worship, there's music, whether it's singing, whether it's instruments. So let's jump over to Lucifer real quick. This angel was something. He had the whole choir thing up in him, and the music, all these instruments was within his being. So that was his function, was to worship. Music, worship. So why do I say that? Well, there are 5 archangels that I know of. I won't name them, but the 3 that I'm going to concentrate on is Gabriel, Michael, and Lucifer. Lucifer being the archangel, the head honcho angel for worship. Everyone says that he tricked the other angels to follow him. No, they followed him voluntarily. But that was one section. That was one. The third dimension. God deals with the 3s. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, death, burial, resurrection, he who was, who is, and who is to come. Now we're starting to see something here. Inner, the outer, the inner, and then the Holy of Holies. We're starting to see something here. So the next archangel would be Gabriel. He's the messenger one. You always see Gabriel bringing messages to people and carrying on. That's what he does. It's his function. And we should take note of all of this. When we have a function, let's stick with it. And then you had Michael the warring angel. Michael be scrapping, fighting, winning. God say, okay, can't have this. I can't fight with you, but let me send Michael to fight with you. I can't go and fight with my own creation, but I'll send a creation to whoop a creation. So now I go back to the music part on this. People were saying, that's secular music, or that's what. I can say you can classify some things as secular if they're not worshiping or singing anything. But, okay, so now we draw a thin line. We want to say everything secular is bad and everything spiritual or gospel music or worship is good. Well, the question I have with that, where do you put Star Spangled Banner? Is that good or is that bad? Is that secular all the way, which is bad according to many people? Or is it spiritual because there's nothing in it, that I would see that will make me worship? So let's not argue over music. Dr. Hart Ramsey once said there's someone, he's awesome keyboardist. He played the jazz. But he said that someone said, is it Christian jazz? He says, no such thing as Christian jazz. Either it's jazz or it's not. And I had to laugh because I'm a jazz lover. And it's right. People say, oh, that's of the devil. Well, let's go back to the music. Music has a spirit. This week, specifically, the reason why I decided to do this, I was listening to my pastor. I don't call him and say, the Lord is speaking to me about this, or I'm having an unction of it. No, I listen because God speaks to him to speak to all of us. And what I hear from him oftentimes is confirmation of what God is speaking to me. I forget the Greek word for it in the New Testament, but it actually means to echo. So this is something that's in the spirit that I'm hearing, and it's an echo. So he heard it too. So I'm quite sure he was closer to the echo than I was because I was just doing a cursory study of it. But he said music had a spirit. And when he started teaching on that, I said, He also said that music is a joy killer. And it is. It is. I can talk about sometimes before Christ, should I say, BC. I used to be a bartender, part-time in the military. Loved it. Now, I got to experience all kinds of music in the NCO club. I actually like country and western. It had a story to it. It was get together. Now, rap back in the day was it's okay. Now I wouldn't listen to rap. Jazz, of course, I said that I love it because it's no words. It's just the jazz, the instrumentals of it. And normally, it's not hopefully it's not of a song that has vocals, because I'm going to touch on the lyrics in a few. So I'm looking at this like, okay, and I never forget, there was one time that I was bartending, and this guy, he was sitting at the bar, and he was down. He was really. I said, "Hey, man, what's going on?" He said, "Man, my dog died." I said, "Your dog died?" Oh man! Now we lived in a American housing area that was at the military installation. So, and I've seen this guy around. So I'm thinking, normally, word goes through the community that someone's dog died because they're a family member of sorts. And I said, "Really? Where?" He said, "When I was 7." What? When you were 7? Yeah, and he was telling me, well, judge me if you want to. Like I said, I was BC before Christ. I poured him an extra shot. I said, "Man, drink this and get out of here." I'm sitting there shaking my head. And then I saw him later on, about maybe 2 days later. I said, "Man, did you get another dog?" He said, "Nah." He said, "I was listening to a song in there, and the dog, just came in my mind." I said, "What?" And I was thinking back. The song that was playing was Brandy by the OJs. Now, all this time, I knew by then who, Brandy was. They were singing about a dog and all that. All that time, I thought it was a lady. And then I had discovered, close to that time, when somebody that was, a music enthusiast said, "No, that's about a dog." And I looked it up, and sure enough, it was about a dog. So I said, this brother heard Brandy with the OJs. And he thought about his dog. That's something. Music will usher something into your spirit. A message, a saying, a mindset, even emotion, if you're not careful. Brother here told me, he said, music is the only thing that doesn't need permission to enter your spirit. I found that to be very true in many instances. I can't say all, but in many instances. So why do I say that? Okay, how did you learn your ABCs? And you'll never forget it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, that's one. Now, how many times have you listened to a cartoon and you hear it? I'm a date myself. There was a cartoon, I think the name was Super Chicken. Yes, it was. It was Super Chicken. And, I can still remember the lyrics then. When you find yourself in danger, when you're threatened by a stranger, when it looks like you would take a licking. And then it goes in, call Super Chicken. And I remember that. I also remember a commercial, Fig Newton commercial. For all of you all that didn't know, Fig Newton had a commercial that would make you laugh, And the little guy was dressed up like a fig, and then he'd get the dance, dun, 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 chewy, gooey, rich and ooey, inside out. Tender, golden, choice, and flaky, outside in. Put the chewy with the gooey with the chewy. The big Fig Newton. One more time. And I would just sit there and crack up at that. But it was the music that got me. Even Looney Tunes, you deal with that. I'm quite sure that now we can bring it into the earth or the world, as people say. You can remember a certain song that somebody, introduced you to. There's one song, Love Ballad. I have memories on that. Oh, they're not that good memories, but woo, there were some memories for that. I have other ones that came in. I can remember if someone taught me, if they gave me some music to listen to, like Al Jarreau. I know exactly who introduced me to him. Wonderful music, wonderful music. So why am I speaking of music? I was under the impression that there were times when people will really slam you with things. I was sitting in a service one day, and this was a few decades ago. The pastor said, "And all this worldly music, you better get it out your house, 'cause that's inviting the devil in." Well, I asked him after service, should I just get rid of it? He said, "Yeah, you gotta get it out your house. Any music that's not gospel is of the devil." Well, I wanted to please God. Still want to please him. So I went home at that time, and I'm trying to think what year was that. That had to be like 2000. No, it was 1999 maybe. No, wait a minute, it was earlier than that. But I went home, and I got all my CDs together. CDs now. And I think I assigned each one of them a value of $7, say. And that was, the reason why I did it like that, and to Lord, because not only was I dealing with the single CDs, but sometimes I had sets, 2, 3, 4 CDs. It's one, I believe the Temptation had like 6 CDs. So I assigned them all together. And I came up with about $6,000 in music that I had on my shelves lined up. I had shelves with CDs, and I had albums in the corner. And I had given them to my brother, But at this time, I only had CDs left. I took them out. I couldn't even give them away, because I said, "Lord, I'm doing this because I feel that he has told me, you said to do it." I don't think God said to do that at all at that time. But talked to another brother of mine who's a pastor, at the time he wasn't. He said, yeah, he went home and got rid of, he said, "I burned it." Now, I'm thinking of my little CD collection and how much it cost, but this brother burned 2 12-inch reel-to-reel reels of original, non-rehearsed, jam session, Donald Byrd and the Blackbirds. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I was that saved that I would have done that, because something like that, I can't even imagine what it would cost. Why do I say that? Because I grew up listening to the Blackbirds. I actually grew up the drummer. He lived right down the street, up the street from me, rather. I'm like, hey, so I was like, wow. I didn't regret that. I didn't regret getting rid of them, because at that moment, that may be what I needed to do. So I don't go back and say, "Oh, he made me do." No. I chose to do that. He didn't make me do anything. I chose it. Long story short, I started listening to nothing but gospel. Still heard old school here and there. If I went to my brother-in-law's house or something, we listened to some old school while we were talking or something. Okay. But I never thought about anything. I always thought about the new lyrics, to pay attention to the new lyrics. How about we start paying attention to some of them old ones? The enemy started turning this up real easy. We have like Motown, My Girl, I Got Sunshine on a Cloudy Day, and all this comes up. And then, just like when you turn the heat up in water, you got that frog in, before you know it, it's getting hot. So where we at now today? Ooh, wow, the lyrics. So I began to pray, and I said, well, Lord, I can't believe that only from this period on that this has happened, but how did it happen to me, Lord? Because there's some times that I can listen to something and that melody will attach itself to me. So, Lord, what is this? He said, listen to the lyrics. Closer to the lyrics. He flashed back and gave me a remembrance of something. Matter of fact, when I got rid of all the CDs, I didn't get rid of one. I think I had lent it to someone and they bought it back later on. It was Earth, Wind, and Fire, Gratitude. Lady in the church had asked me, we were talking about, how we had got rid of music, or she said she didn't get rid of nothing. And so I said, well, I did get rid of everything. I said, but, such and such bought back my CD. I forgot they had it. It was Earth, Wind, and Fire, Gratitude. Oh, she was just like, oh, can I have that? I mean, I said, okay, yeah, I'm just going to throw it away anyway. I had called people to come get them. They never came get them. So the trash man actually took the whole box and put it up the front with him. So I knew that didn't go to the dump. So I said, yeah, why not? Well, on the way to church, of 70 miles getting to church, I started playing. No, I was on the way home. It was in the car. And this one time she wasn't there. I started playing Shining Star. Took a week for that thing got out of my spirit. I mean, I was like, whoa, where's this coming from? That's when I realized that things could sneak down into you. So I began to just limit what I was listening to, even at someone else's house. So now, let's fast forward today. The Lord is saying, look at the lyrics. See how they are. Okay. One of the ones I was listening to, Grace Jones, Pull Up to the Bumper. I never tied that together. I had read that one of the songs, The Electric Slide, was really about a vibrator. And the guy said it. That's what I wrote it about. Monstrous hit, dance, everything. And by the way, for the record, I never learned how to do the electric slide. Okay. It's another one. Then of course, you have things like the Atomic Dog and just different lyrics that's there if you listen. You're like, So I thought, well, maybe I'll listen to something a little bit more ease, and then I listen to that, is speaking of this and that, and I said, wow. So I go back to prayer, and I said, well, Lord, how did we get to this point? And just like anything else, little by little by little by little. Now I'm really concerned, because now I have to see what else is creeping into our life. So I began to pay attention in stores, gas stations, some of the big chain gas stations. I don't know which ones you have, but they're different places like, Hess, Wawa, Royal Farms down south is, I can't remember the one down south. I know what the sign looks like. And, so all of these ones, Speedway, so I'm listening to the music that's playing. First of all, it depends on who's on shift, because they're going to turn the satellite to what they like. And you can tell, and rarely have I heard any, heavy metal or anything. But I have heard Motown, hip-hop, and different things, country. So that's one. And then it's playing in the background. And as it's playing in the background, you're pumping your gas and you patting your foot. And then if you know the words, you're going to sing the song. So now what you're doing, faith comes by hearing. So where's your faith at? The pastor said that music will contribute to your mood. Yes, it will. It will rob your joy. As a matter of fact, he said it's a joy killer. A joy robber. Yes, it is. Because if you're not careful, you'll allow the music to dictate your being at that time. I'll give you an example today. I have something that's going on, something's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's not no fault of mine. I realize that God is in charge of everything, and that there's most likely a reason why he's not allowing this to go as scheduled. Didn't say that I wasn't disappointed. Immediately I'm going to check my joy. I'm going to declare that I will be glad and rejoice in this day. So now I'm leaving there, and I'm still a little... Immediately I put on some worship music. Took about 3 or 4 blocks, but then after that I was okay. So by the time I arrived at home, I was okay. The problem was still there. Everything is still there, but yet the atmosphere, the joy is here. And that's something we have to think about when we're playing this music. So let's go back to Lucifer. I had someone saying that, well, God could have just taken Lucifer out and wiped him off if he wanted to. Well, I know that sounds wonderful and it's attributing something to God, but would that have been the wisest thing? Because Lucifer was created to worship. Yes, we took his place, and I know he is still thinking like, "What is man that you are mindful of him? That joker can't do nothing. He can't even fly. Oh, I'll put 1,000 pounds there, see if he can pick that up. We just pick it up and throw it, and we kill a few people." But we became the worshipers, and those who worship the Lord must worship him in spirit and in truth. So now the enemy knows that all of this is still in him. So he cannot stay in the presence, or his minions in the presence of worship, because it all just kicks up in them and they can't stand it. It's kind of like I saw this military weapon, this microwave weapon that just heats you up from the inside out and makes you run away from the situation. So, and that's kind of what it does to him. That's why he has to leave. He can't stay in the presence of worship, true worship to God. Now, he can stay in the presence all day long of us singing songs about God. But true worship, no, he can't stay there. And that's why God didn't wipe him out. Because, first of all, he's a spirit. I've never heard God say that he killed the spirit. I know that he's banished him. I know that he's bound them. I know that, these angels are reserved, some are reserved in chains, so we only dealing with the garden variety demon now. But there's some demons that's reserved in chains until that day of judgment that God is going to cast them into the lake of fire. But again, music. So what does the enemy do? The thing that I've always said, the music is a language that does not need to be taught or need to be interpreted. David used music to worship. We use music to worship. Lucifer used to worship with music. Now he denigrates with music. Music will set your mood. If you're upset or something, today I was upset. Now imagine if I had to put on something that was warlike. And I do like a good beat too. But if it was warlike and the lyrics attached to the music, the war beat into my war soul at that moment, I was still a little salty. And now the lyrics is stirring up stuff, and faith come by hearing. So I got faith to be like warlike right now, and now I'm mad again. No. But I put on worship music, and where my breakthrough came was this song I just love. I even watched the movie, and I saw it. I Can Only Imagine. Man, when that fourth song came on, I was there. I Can Only Imagine. I was ready to pull over right there and throw my hands up, start worshiping. Well, you do that now, somebody think you got mental illness and COVID. So I just had a tear come my mind. I said, thank you, Lord. I needed that. I needed that. I did not need to be broke down. So we go back to our music and our lyrics. I know we all have songs that we like. I mean, I've lived a couple of days on this earth. I won't tell you how many. None of your business. But I've come across a lot of music. I'm not one that just stuck on one specific type of music. Like I said, I like country music in a sense because it's wholesome for the most part, and it tells a story. I like some ballads. I'm very particular about them. But I'm actually starting to listen to a whole lot different now. And this is a time in this season when we have to really take a look at or listen to what we're listening to. I heard someone say to think about what you're thinking about. Well, now I'm going to say also think about what you're listening to, or listen to what you're listening to. Sometimes you have to remove yourself. So I have many CDs that were old school, had downloaded music that was old school. Now I have to rethink, how do I do this? I realize that some people do things out of the need to have a checklist. Like, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. God hasn't condemned me over it. I guess you could call it that the conviction is more or less an awakening for me. Say, hey, check this out. You didn't look at this before. So now I'm seeing it. So now I've made a choice. I want to please God. And for me to please God, I have to make sure that I'm straight. Now, if this music is getting to me, if it's taking me back to a place I used to be, then yeah, you need to deal with that. Do I listen to classical music? Yes, I do. I like it too. I like that too. I'm probably just different. But I listen to classical, and it's okay. Definitely jazz. Now, if I do hear a melody in jazz that I know that has lyrics, I'm going to find out what it's about if I haven't, just put it on randomly. So we have to take real notice on what we're listening to with music. And if you go all the way back, you'll see where some things began in a different way, such as trap music. I hear what they say, trap music now, but I think the original trap music was Curtis Mayfield, Pusha Man. That was along the same style as today. Music has been around since, I would say, before time. Time never started moving until the fall. So music was present before time. Lucifer was thrown out of earth before time began moving. Music was present. It was there, powerful to worship. So I can't say that we have to get rid of all of it, but I'm saying we need to go back to the original purpose of it, which what God intended. So what was the original purpose that God intended? It was worship, it was praise. In essence, it was a celebration. That's why we play music at many celebrations. What type of music should you listen to? That's between you and the Holy Spirit. Some people may have the grace to listen to some very vulgar music if that's their job to do that. Such as, saying, okay, this will be played and this won't be played. Then I understand that. I'm not saying that if they listen to anything, they're going to hell. Such as some people say, oh, well, when we're going to hell, if she wear pants. Well, I'm not going to say all that. But I'm going to ask you to take time to listen to your music. Your music has a method. It has, the music itself has a method. It has a message. And when you're starting to listen to the message, be sure that when you listen, I wish I had something I could play some music. Be sure that when you're listening to this message, be sure that your subconscious has picked it up on the first go round. So every time you're reinforcing it. There was one song by a group called Funkadelic that, I remember as a kid, we would just sing at school, it was crazy. That song had a message, and that song started molding our thoughts. So that's your third M. Your 3 M's. The method of the music is more or less everything from the genre to the beat to even the person that's authoring that music. The method goes in to shift you into another plane that you don't need to be on. If it's the wrong type of music going into the right type of spirit. Now, that's your method. The music itself, it can be some of anything. It can be up, it can be down, it can be fast, it can be slow. But then you got the message. Start listening to the message that we lower our guard because it's music. It's just music. But then don't be so spooky that you're saying, ooh, that's secular. You going to hell if you ain't listening to that devil music over there. I don't know where your boundary would be. Mine will be, I'm paying more attention now to lyrics. Because I know music in itself is neither good nor bad. Yet, what you do with it is what makes it good or bad. The same as money. It's neither good or bad. It's what you do with it. So, at this point, people, let's give some thought to our music. And if you don't agree with what I'm saying about music, if you're saying I shouldn't be listening to some jazz, well, I can't judge another man's servant, and you can't either. But I will tell you that there's some times when If a person wants to be romantic, they're not going to listen to I'm Climbing Up the Rough Side. They're not going to listen to Amazing Grace. They may listen to maybe some Luther Vandross. Man had a beautiful voice. Maybe some Teddy Pendergrass. Teddy had some things too. Different things, different, love music or whatever. But even listen to those lyrics too. Because me and Mrs. Jones, we got a thing going on, ain't gonna work. Because again, you have to listen to the music. And you know what? I'm gonna put on some today and just listen. And I'm gonna keep listening because I'm still going through music that I'm like, wow, how long did I let this influence my soul? Which is your mind, will, intellect, imagination, and emotion. How long did I let this song or these songs influence my soul? So now, what am I telling you? Go work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling and check that beat. So I want you to understand Dr. Prodigal loves you. Am I condemning anyone that's a musician that's out there? No. I want you to know that many of the musicians that we listen to, the church pushed them out. The church pushed them out. And it doesn't matter because God is still using them. I can speak of someone here that went on tour. First of all, he auditioned for, who was it? It wasn't Usher, it was one of John Legend. He auditioned for John Legend over the telephone with a guitar. He traveled with him, and then he traveled with Sam Smith. Both parents, one mother is a worship leader that, when she sings, and she's awesome. Father, a dynamic pastor, preacher, expounder, teacher, and he's PK, preacher's kid. He went and toured. He never lost his faith. As a matter of fact, he was used to bring many others closer to God. Even with one of the artists who wasn't living a Christian life at all. So we have to be careful of how we attack people and their music. Now, leave a comment below. What are your thoughts about music? What do you think? It's not saying that you're going to change my mind or I'm going to change yours. I'm just curious because this is something that's prevalent in the world. Music is everywhere. So let me know how you think. Dr. Prodigal, I'm going to go sing. I don't know what yet, but I know if I'm going to sing and you close to me, I probably will offend you because it's only God that said make a joyful noise. God bless you. Let's get together soon.